Live from Sorcerer Yen Sid's tower, this is Derailed Trains of Thought. Hi, Tim.
Hello.
It's kind of dank here.
I would say this tower is kind of mysterious.
It is.
It's a mysterious tower.
It's kind of dirty and everything. Hopefully get cleaned up.
Yeah, it could use a good washing, I think. There's even a broom lying against the wall over there. You think someone would start sweeping.
Hopefully sometime when we're here. Or maybe not when we're not here.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's kind of a quiet place compared to I guess the other tower we were at
quite quiet.
was quiet, but it was more occupied.
Yes. This is pretty lonely, it seems like.
Yes. And very mysterious.
Yes.
Have I said that before?
You have.
Okay.
Yes. It's kind of fantastical. But anyways.
Welcome.
Welcome. We're back after our 80th episode.
Yeah, this is number 81.
Yeah. We will have to say something, kind of a audience feedback here.
So we need to come clean? Is
we
that
do
what
need
you're
to
saying?
come clean. So, in case you did not get it last episode, we played it very straight, but no one wrote into us last episode.
You guys don't love us. We didn't receive any questions.
We only asked once, and you can't do it on the internet. You got to ask multiple times.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we made up all the questions.
The answers are fairly accurate, though.
Some of them made up as well, though.
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, the podcast goes to every place.
Well, no, that one was true. But I mean,
Yeah.
some of the last ones about like Gary Larson and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're not sure about the whole conspiracy
No,
thing.
yeah, and just clear the record. The last question about Strid and Fred and the connecting stories and everything, completely false. I was just making stuff up.
Oh, there's no Nick Hayden universe?
No, there's no Nick Hayden universe.
It made sense, though.
It made a lot of sense. I kind of want to do it now, honestly. But completely made up.
So what?
Your clue, guys, was our question about mockumentaries and
spoofs and fake stuff,
fake nonfiction,
fake news.
Yeah. So if you caught it, congratulations. If you didn't,
we're sorry.
Tim does not have a girl knocking at the door
Yet.
Sorry, Eric.
Anyway, now that we've come clean, hopefully you've come to know us a little bit more and our devious ways.
Yes, we had a lot of fun.
And also, it just goes to show sometimes you can't believe everything you see or hear.
Yes, exactly. But this is a real podcast.
This is a real
with
podcast.
real information.
With real voices.
Yes.
And anyway, the whole not everything is what as it appears is very fitting for this episode, I think.
Yeah, so let's get started with our story school. In episode 79, 2 episodes back, we talked about words. And Tim had a very nice story about his college career, and people who said, words are dead, image is king.
That was an art exhibit that someone put up and put in the library.
If you haven't listened to episode 71, go do it. It's
79.
a lot of good stuff. Yes, thank you. 79. But we thought it would be appropriate to also talk about images.
Yes, because we said, I like the title of that episode that you came up with. A word is worth 1,000 pictures.
Yes.
Of course, that's playing off the whole idea of pictures worth 1,000 words, which has
also
some truth
true.
to it. Yeah, it also has some truth to it.
So, and we thought we really highly praised words, and we didn't want you to think that we don't also like images.
Yeah, and I think it's also nice to start kind of with the philosophy behind image. It was good to also touch on why, there's some danger to relying too much on images. I was talking with Nick, and I meant to look into this before, and I forgot to. It was either John Calvin or Zwingli. Back in the beginning of the Reformation, two of the more strict leaders in some ways. One of them in their community, I think they outlawed images of Jesus because they took the, thou shalt not make any graven image very seriously and very literally. The idea being that if you were to try to make an image of Christ, then your idea of who that would be skewed to that. You would be worshiping this picture of who he is rather than him being kind of distant and holier. And
I had read recently some big Christian blogger kind of recommending the same thing. For him personally, he watched Passion of the Christ, and then when he was praying, he tended to see Jim Caviezel in his head. I'm not that image-oriented in my brain. That's not a danger for me.
Yeah.
But I never thought about that sort of not insidious, but in a bad way, but that, the way images just kind of seep into your consciousness. And even in religious senses, your perception, people will joke about, that all our ideas of Jesus are, a blue-eyed, bearded white guy.
Yeah.
Which he was Jewish.
Yeah.
But we have skewed images of
what he looked like
Yeah.
and certain things. I think the one benefit to having been so much Christian art over the years is that while there is sort of an archetypal picture of who Jesus is, at the same time, we've seen many different actors at this point portray Jesus. And as long as you don't ever hold true to one version of that, that doesn't have to be your defining Jesus. At least it shouldn't be.
Now just step back because we started, this is the philosophy of images. Well, images are very powerful. God, doesn't want us to encapsulate him.
Yeah, right.
But because images, we used to talk about words encapsulating and images being vague, but even images have a certain amount of
definition,
or at least, I wonder if it's so much definition or saying what it's not.
That's interesting.
I just came up with that. When you see an image, a lot of things go away, but there's still a lot of wiggle room inside what you see.
That's an interesting point because when you read a book, you can sort of visualize things how they want. But if you see an adaptation of it, then it's like, well, this is what this looks like now. And sometimes it's sort of hard to break away from that and go back to kind of the vague idea you originally had.
Yeah, that's the thing with movies. Once you watch a movie, then when you read the book, you always view Elijah Wood as Frodo or whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the danger. Anyway.
Yeah. And in books, it doesn't matter that much, except sometimes there's details that are just wrong because you get a good actor that it's not exactly the right height or what, for the super detailed stuff.
Or sometimes it's easy to do sort of the reverse of that, where like if you read a book that, maybe doesn't have a movie yet, and some people will cast or like, certain characteristics of a character remind you of an actor or some other sort of, and you sort of imagine that as that person, even though sometimes that's even not what the author intended, but descriptions are really easy to glance over.
It's interesting. I've been rereading Dragonborn, the third Wheel-Time book, and I found out that apparently he had people would ask him how tall these characters were, and he had heights for them all and everything. 5'4", and oh wow, that's
very specific.
That's very specific. Yeah, exactly. And some writers are much more specific in how they write, in their visual, what they are expecting the reader to pick up.
Yeah.
Then, for instance, I'm not. But anyway, so that's kind of one big idea. And also, I want to talk, do you have more on that?
I might, but I'll see if I
We'll
can
circle around
later.
to it then. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of the benefits of images.
Yeah.
Over words and other things. One is they have so much emotional impact that, most of your memories that are stuck in your head are usually just an image, just an idea. Not an idea in word, but I gotta be careful how I use it.
Or like a scene or something.
A scene. Yeah, you go to a movie and you're like, this shot. You'll have those people like how this looks or how the light plays off this. I think images inherently have a faster track into the emotions than words do. You can write whole books that are basically just abstract.
Yeah.
And an image normally, you can have abstract images.
Right.
But generally create an emotional response of some sort.
Yeah.
This is why people, they're getting married, they turn to see their bride in the thing and they have emotional reactions. You don't do that when you necessarily read about some person turn around and seeing.
Or on more tragic sort of levels, statistics usually don't convey an idea. You hear about so many people were murdered by this regime or something. And I can't even wrap my mind around that sort of number. And then seeing photographs of mass graves or, the remains of an aborted infant.
Or is the silent scream? Is that the...
Oh, the painting?
No, that's not... No, there's the abortion, the video that shows the baby being aborted, and they use it, in arguments and whatever, and that does more normally than all the statistics. The same way, if you want people to donate to your humane shelter, you show images of dogs looking really sad. You ever seen those commercials?
Yes.
And suddenly you're like, I don't even care, but I must give you money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an instancy to it. It's because, we speak in euphemisms all the time. This person passed away or, this many people were lost. But when you actually sometimes actually seeing a thing is what makes you realize what that thing is.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I was thinking on a less serious note, like if you, like people trying to describe an animal that you've never seen before.
Oh, yeah.
Like how would you describe like say a hippopotamus to someone who had never seen a hippopotamus before?
Yeah.
It's like, well, there's this really big thing with a large mouth. Well, how large? Well, it's kind of like, it's a weird oval, not quite oval. It's like rounded rectangle shape. And people would have this very weird, like, kind of child sketch drawing in their head until they actually were able to see a picture of what a rhinoceros looks like.
I mean, it's like
or
some
a hippopotamus looks like.
Yeah. I talk to my kids sometimes, like, talking about something like, what is that? I'm like, yeah, come to YouTube with me. And I'll show them, here's Devil's Tower. Here's the Great Wall of China. A picture is way easier than me trying to explain the thing.
I was watching a documentary on Martin Luther recently, which is really fascinating. As a Lutheran, you should totally check it out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
I heard it was very good, yeah.
The one on PBS?
Yeah. I haven't watched it, but I heard it was very good.
Oh, it was super good. But one thing they actually talked about is how how Luther actually thought it was important to educate children and to be able to read and about the Bible and things like that, which I never thought about it being kind of a revolutionary idea, but it would have been in Luther's time period because mostly that was something for the elite class and stuff like that. And he's like, no, everyone should be able to read this stuff. But one of the things he did when he helped develop books for, because he was the first mass media publisher, basically. But when he was helping develop books for children, was he knew it was important to have images in there. They had pictures, the wood carving cutouts and things like that, because that's something children can identify with right away. Which I just thought was really interesting. We think of Luther as being kind of a master writer and crafter of the word, but obviously he knew the power of images too.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, when you start, I have young kids, and you start with the picture books, and that engages them. Rennie, she's learning to read now, but she still loves she wants, I'm reading Narnia, like, is there a picture on this page? Not yet, I'm sorry. Because it is just a lot more fun to just see it as opposed to hear all this talk about moors and heather and, the mount,
It takes more brain power in a way.
And sometimes you don't have the reference for it. Like, if you're not English, it's hard to get, like, Tolkien's description of land.
That's true. That's a very good point. Although, speaking of Tolkien, I want to jump into him real quick. It's interesting, too, to think, we talked a lot about words and having meaning. Written words, you have to rely on an image to actually see them. And there's a whole way of expressing words through language with, with typography and...
it matters a ton. I'll pick a book sometime and I'm like, I can't even read this just because it looks bad.
Weird. Yeah. It's just interesting. It's basically kind of a way of image showing word and expressing words.
And it's interesting. Image also can lie in the sense that we're wired, I think, as humans to want beautiful things. Mm-hmm. But sometimes things can look beautiful and not be good. Mm-hmm. And sometimes things can look ugly and be beneficial.
Yeah.
Sometimes the emotional response is not the same as what's behind it.
Yeah. No, that's very true. This is why I've been very skeptical of certain kinds of documentaries. I know I just praised a historical documentary, but but there's a style of documentary that I'm very wary of, and of the genre in general. The genre in general. Because it's very easy to just sit back and watch documentary and not be able to really evaluate much of what's saying, because it just keeps moving and it's just kind of a flood of images and
the images are picked to make you feel something. Make you feel disgust or happiness or it can be a very useful medium, but I think it can easily be a very propaganda-ish medium. Yeah, because it does subvert the reason, or can, not always, but there's many ways it gets around the brain.
Mm-hmm. Going back to the graven images thing, sort of, when we were talking about this episode, I mentioned the Jesus movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which has been used as a great evangelistic tool for, taking to people who have never heard the gospel before. But at the same time, part of me has wondered sometimes, if you've never seen moving images before, how much are you being overwhelmed by the actual words of Jesus, or are you just kind of enamored by a magic show, and so you'll believe whatever these people tell you? Mm-hmm. Hopefully, and I believe there are certainly people who have actually been changed for the better and who have been, honestly saved and come to know Jesus through it. But it's just one of those things that you kind of tilt your head and go, huh. And I imagine, as media savvy as Americans are, kind of the way social media works these days, you can also very easily see us being kind of led by the teeth some ways in the way we just kind of take whatever we see on TV at face value.
Yeah. It's interesting with images, it's quicker, it subverts, it's in some ways a shorthand that with the social media and everything, we're almost making like a whole new hieroglyphics.
Oh, yeah.
Between GIFs or GIFs, I don't know. We can have an argument over that. You're thinking Doctor Who right now, aren't you?
No, I wasn't actually. But
emojis.
Yeah.
You have whole Facebook conversations with like just pictures. It's like
it is very pictogrammy or like a very hieroglyphs. Yeah. Emojis are the new hieroglyphs in some ways.
It's very interesting when in some ways it's become a shorthand of just like it's a shared amount of like code almost. Like thumbs up, party signs,
the thinking face.
The
winking. I've done way more winking through emojis than I ever have in real life.
No one does that in real life. Hi, Tim. But it's interesting. We do it. It's fast because to write what you mean takes time. To write the sentence and then to cap it off with a proper emotion. I'm gonna wink, therefore they know I'm joking, or I'm gonna put mad face so they know that I'm serious. Well,
because as it's been said before, sarcasm doesn't always translate well over the internet. So sometimes you need sort of that visual cue to go with it.
Well, and then this visual cue is helpful because most of the time people don't spend, they don't sit there like, I'm going to make sure people really understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They just throw it out fast, and it's like we like color code it.
Right. And honestly, I imagine like visual cues is probably one reason why some people thought our last podcast was completely genuine, because they couldn't see us like kind of smirking to each other.
Oh yeah, we were having a blast.
But radio is, I guess, it's sort of an audio image some way, because there's a lot that you're not seeing.
Yeah, exactly.
That might be a stretch. An audio image.
An audio image. You have to see it to believe it.
Or hear it.
Hear it, yes.
We should definitely talk cinematography a
yes.
little bit. Or like the French actually have this term called mise en scène, which basically means I don't remember the exact pronunciation, but the idea of it is what's all encapsulated in a scene, in a visual scene. This probably started first with like paintings and visual art like that. I mean, because the reason why you can stand in front of a painting at the museum and just stare at it for a while is because here you have a very specific image that an artist has taken great pains to pick out every detail
and
for.
the composition. It's very personal. You got the I don't forget the rule. You go with the rule of thirds, and you got the triangular.
And there's the lighting that goes on. What are you supposed to be focusing on, and what's.
And there's a lot more work than you look at a good picture. You're like, oh, that's a good picture, and there's a lot of work that went behind it to make you look and see and what they wanted you to.
Yeah. And a lot of times it tells a story. Which is why we're talking about images on this podcast. In case you missed it, it's like, this is supposed to be a storytelling podcast. They haven't mentioned storytelling. Well, obviously a lot of times they do tell a story. Norman Rockwell was great. An American guy.
I have a calendar right now at work that every month has a new. And
and he was highly inspired by Rembrandt, who was also very involved in this sort of thing.
And was one of the greatest at doing the kind of the capturing the scene. I heard I think it was on The World and Everything In a podcast. They were talking about Rembrandt because it's some anniversary of his birth or whatever. They could capture like the moment in the story. He did a lot of biblical stories.
Yeah,
that encapsulate everything and all the emotions right in that one moment.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that art went from a very the realistic period of Rembrandt. So then we got the more impressionistic work of your Monets and things like that. And then it got more abstract later on. And there's some abstract art that doesn't really say much. And then sometimes you see some abstract art that's like, okay, I sort of get kind of where you're going with here. It's an interesting line. I think I remember going to an art museum with a homeschool family, and we were all very purist, like conservative, like, no, this is the way it should be. But then I remember one of the art people there pointing out, it's like, well, your clothes are all kind of abstract. You still say something with what you wear.
Yeah.
Which we might talk about that in the future episode.
Yes.
But, there's something to the abstract, the impressionistic that gives you a different sort of idea than just the realistic, the mise en scène sort of look.
So they take that from pictures from paintings, and now they add motion to it.
Yes. And that's a lot of one of my books at film school is actually called Every Frame a Rembrandt.
Okay.
Which honestly, the cinematography was the part I always found most difficult about directing. That's why I tended to go more into editing phase, because it was an easier bit of storytelling for me to work with. Trying to plan like every detail in a shot, which is what some filmmakers aspire to do. Whereas me, I'm always like, the actors will do stuff, and I'll point my camera at it. And even with my basic video stuff, I've always known that was sort of my weak spot. I can frame up a shot to make it look interesting usually, but if I was to try to pre-plan something, I break out in a sweat.
And the thing is, like, most people, and I'm on it most of the time, don't even notice all the work that's going into each shot. Sometimes certain movies you can tell more just because of the type of movie it is. Like, you can tell Spielberg. You always are doing exactly what, when you take a step back, like, oh, whoa, I just been captivated with scene from scene. I haven't even, it's been effortless.
Yeah.
Or you and I went to go see Casa Cagliostro in the theater.
Which is awesome.
You guys need to go watch that movie if you haven't seen it somehow. Yeah. But John Lasseter from Pixar was talking about it before it showed. He had deconstructed the whole movie scene by scene or shot by shot. But he talked about the camera angles and stuff that Miyazaki was basically making up that couldn't be done before, or hadn't much been done before that. And
in animation. And
that stuff I would never even consider. I'm like, it's just a cartoon. I know it's a very good cartoon, and Miyazaki knows what he's doing, but you don't even think in those terms.
Yeah. I think the thing that most people don't realize, especially until you're like at a film set and the lighting setup takes forever. Lighting is is such a key part of any filmmaking process, and it's one of the most overlooked things. And like any good filmmaker, that's it's supposed to be overlooked. It's supposed to be overlooked for the most part.
Yeah.
The focus is supposed to be on the story. So as long as the lighting enhances that as much as possible. Most editors don't want to be noticed. Most lighting directors don't want to be noticed unless you're being purposely very dramatic for something. Then they should look cool and dramatic and make all the film students go, ooh. But lighting takes forever. Oh my gosh, that was the thing that always drove me nuts about any project I worked on set. A lot of times you would have an idea of what you wanted to look like, but then you'd like, well, no, let's try placing it over here. No, I don't like that shadow, or oh no, there's too much of a bright spot here. Let's get some gels. Or what color temperature should we have for this scene? Or honestly, sometimes it could take like an hour just to set up. Wow. And when you're working on a student film, your time is very limited considering all the shots that you have to get in a very limited amount of space.
And in movies, images, half the reason movies go off because that looks cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, that shot was cool, or that fight scene was well choreographed, or it's how it flows, that you have the planning and the framing in such a way that it's never happening in real life like that. You watch a home movie and it just looks like real life. It just does.
The camera shaking all over the place, trying to zoom in and out.
Yeah,
and blurry focus, and that's how natural filmmaking looks.
Yeah, and anime is particularly good at this because they even have more control.
They have a certain style. It's almost like they almost have like not quite comic book style, because American comic books would even be different than what anime does.
Yeah.
But it's like,
I mean, there's scenes burned in my mind from Evangelion, just shots of.
Oh sure.
I mean, and Evangelion's like, we're just going to sit here for about 30 seconds and not move the frame because they did that.
Yeah.
But
just stare and kind of absorb the moment.
And it's a very powerful way of doing things. And most people have that movie. My parents, especially, but a lot of people, when Avatar came out, the blue one, not the Last Airbender,
right?
It just looked fabulous. That was, the story didn't matter really.
Yeah, for a lot of people.
I mean, it couldn't be a horrible story. It was a doable story.
Yeah, it was serviceable.
Yeah, exactly, and that's all. That was all people really needed at the time because it was such a rush to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember thinking even myself, like, there were things that looked cool, but at the same time, I was like, Final Fantasy has done worlds like this.
Well, but not a lot. I mean,
it wasn't a mass market thing. It wasn't, and the 3D was sort of the new gimmick thing at that point. And I know why people fell for it, but I never really.
Yeah, I don't think it has aged as well as.
No, but
well, like the new Star Wars preview came out.
Yes.
before. I'm always just amazed with the look. It just looks nice. I just love the look of this new Star Wars.
Well, and it's so interesting. They're going with a very particular red theme for this one. I mean, it's pretty obvious with the posters, but even in the trailer itself, you got the weird red clouds of dust that the speeders or whatever leave behind. And there's that one like overhead shot. I think it was of Kylo Ren and others walking through, and there was like red on the floor. I didn't know if it was like blood or what have you, but it'll be very interesting to see the visual cues that they do with that.
Have we talked about on the podcast the color planning that Pixar does?
I don't know if we have it on the podcast or not.
Okay, so I have this book that I got for Christmas, but Pixar, when they plan a movie, they do storyboarding like most things do, but they also do, I don't know what they call it anymore, like color boarding, basically. Like, what is the basic color feel
or color scheme
that's going to go through this part of the movie and this part, and they choose very specifically, like it's going to be blue here, and then here's going to get red for because colors evoke emotion, and they really plan out. Here's kind of the color emotional palette that the story it tells. Mm-hmm. Which I think is a fascinating thing.
Yeah, the one I remember the most is because I don't think I've read all that book, but I remember WALL-E particularly. You've got lots of brown in the beginning part of the movie, but I think one of the only things that's green is the plants that WALL-E finds, because they want to very emphasize the green, the growth of that. And I guess when there's a little symbol for in the ship.
Yeah, for like life or what.
Yeah, for that life. But I mean, elsewhere, even on the ship, look at the color scheme of it. It's like very white. It's kind of a dead kind of sanitized look in most of the ship, and so there's very little green except for the leaf, because they really wanted to kind of make that pop.
I like that because the ship is very sanitized and the Earth's very just beat up. There is
very brown and gray,
and there's the whole theme of the movie is largely life, living, and that's it's just that plant.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch certain movies. It's easy to forget. Certain movies will really emphasize the color. Like Hero plays with color a lot. Even going back to Star Wars, obviously there's a lot of light and dark, the blue lightsabers, the red lightsabers.
Well, and then, George Lucas very specifically wanted kind of that, like worn down look for the original movies.
Yeah.
And then wanted kind of very sleek, more lively, well done for the prequels.
Yeah.
The prequels just look so much prettier. Mm. And some of that's the
CG work,
but I think from what I understand, some of it was purposeful too.
Yeah, so the design, like the Naboo ships, are all very sleek
Naboo as a planet. I mean, we've never been to a nice
lush planet.
Well, I mean, we had Endor,
but not a civilized,
one.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I mean, we've just kind of skimmed the surface here on cinematography and just the general power of images and how much goes on purposely that sometimes viewers aren't even aware of.
Yeah, and it's really a medium that's much more set up for, obviously, movies and TV and comics. Books don't have the image in the same way. I mean, you can talk about imagery.
And one thing I almost forgot to mention, sometimes there are things that storytellers, the directors, filmmakers will say through the shot composition that without having any words. I mean, obviously, silent movies, this is how you have to do it. But like I remember one moment in Dunkirk.
Oh, yeah.
Because Christopher Nolan is a great visual artist. But remember,
and there's very little words in that.
And there's not a whole lot of talking. But I remember one particular moment where they're on the boats and the guy is in a back room, and it's the guy that they picked up from the water, and he's a little unhinged.
Oh yeah.
And the boy looks at the door handle, and it doesn't say anything, but he wants to lock it because the guy's just a little unhinged. You don't know if he should be out. So I mean, that's just an example of saying something without saying something.
Yeah.
And sometimes images can do that.
All right then. With that, we'll go to our first soundtrack. And so my soundtrack day is a little different. I had a normal one picked out, then decided to go a little
different.
Yeah, to repeat myself. Shinobulba. Yes, thank you. Sam is his name. Sam.
I don't know if that's actually accurate.
Sam is his first name. Anyways, he does some...
Sam he is?
Not Sam he is. But he does some... He's done some remix or Orcock remix, but he does a lot of kind of piano improvisation and setups. And he did this one session where people would send him images, and he'd just play a song based on the image. And since we're talking image, I thought it'd be good. And one of them had this image of a guy dressed up as Darth Vader in the ocean, like knee deep in water, with like one of those filtering water things.
Water filters?
Water filter containers.
And he was pouring into a bottle?
Bottle or something. It was a ridiculous image. But anyways, then Shinola Bulbola wrote a song called just played on the spot, a song that he entitled Darth Vader Saves the Ocean. So we took this from the YouTube video of him doing this.
Of his session,
and I hope you enjoy. And we're back. Hopefully enjoy that little soothing piano.
Who knew Darth Vader could be so calming?
I know, it's very nice.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to go into our second section, and we're going to start with a bit of story.
All right, Nick, what story do you have for us today?
All right, so this story I've been writing about a flash fiction a week lately, and so every week I'm like, what am I going to write about? And we had just done our podcast on words, and so that was in the front of my mind, and so I wrote this story called Images of Light. That was called, I believe. Titles come last, actually, in many ways. And it was just kind of my wrestling through kind of, this word image divide that we had kind of highlighted both this episode and episode 79. And so here it is. Images of light. They came not in ships, but in beams of light. Creatures of many eyes, their forms wavered insubstantial before us. They did not speak, but when one of their eyes, a film of colored photons, a mere hologram projected across the expanse of space, touched us, we saw landscapes and constellations, caves of crystal and deserts of blue sand, twisted plants and writhing phosphorescence. They were like Ezekiel's vision, appalling and fascinating and unearthly. They must be advanced to have come so far, to have seen such things. They peered at us patiently, and we turned our efforts to teaching them our language, certain we could not comprehend theirs. We began with the alphabet. We showed them A, and they touched us, a mountain peak against an orange sky, a violet streak of sunset stretched against calm waters. We spoke the sound, ah, and they stared at us. We continued with B. The touch came, the shiver of light upon flesh, A single cloud in the green-tinged sky, a creature fat and lazy nursing its young, 2 rocks stacked one upon another. We spoke the sound, B, and their many eyes stared unblinkingly. Through all 26 symbols we continued, our wide smiles and exaggerated gestures veiling our dwindling confidence. We could not help but think these celestial beings were like children on the first day of school, who looked uncomprehendingly at the big, bold letters that ran the border of the room, and at the hieroglyphs of their own name printed and taped onto their desk, and understood nothing. But no, the aliens were processing our feeble language in their condescension, we told ourselves. Or, at worst, they struggled to imitate a method of verbalization so foreign to their own, like Americans learning the Bushman's clicks. We signed to them to speak in their own tongue, or if they had no tongue, for we had yet to locate their mouths, then in their own way, whether by whistle or gesture or an intricate Morse code of blinks and winks. They stared at us with hundreds of eyes and made no sound we could detect, even with our instruments, and no patterns we could determine by man or machine. In all our strivings, they answered, or asked, we could not tell, image after image, a torn body, a hole in soft sand, a bird, or something like it, upon the water, their people harvesting crystals with crude tools, a sky full of stars, a great mob of aliens like a soup of eyes, the closing of the eyes and the reopening like birth or revelation or morning, our own forms as seen by them, and so on. Perhaps these were their speech, and not merely images of their experiences, but with what meaning we did not know. Then, realizing that we must show them what our language was, just as they had attempted to show us theirs, we led them to the library. Here were words, millions of words, so that they could not be taken as unique creations, but as plentiful and purposeful. We opened book after book before them, pointing out the letters and the words, showing how they repeated, speaking them out in repetition as to infants, hoping to form a Rosetta Stone for these advanced beings. We found the word book and pointed to the book. We found man and chair and alien and did the same. After long hours, when we pointed to the word, all we were shown in return was an image of the letters themselves, B-O-O-K and M-A-N and C-H-A-I-R. With the setting of the sun and the rising of the moon, the visitors' forms shifted and shook. The connection, the innate ability that brought them, weakened. They were aliens and had seen much. They could insinuate 100 associations with a powerful remembrance, but they could not say one thing definite, which we all understood the same. And so they faded away, and my brain is full of wonders and vision. But what can I say? I know nothing for sure. I've tried here to record what I saw, to put into language what was merely sight. I am left with dreams, but nothing to grasp, with possibilities, but not a single fact. They came from the stars and beams of light that shone with brilliancy and cast nothing but shadows.
What I think is interesting about that is not just that it was inspired by the podcast, but I felt like, because I think it was that same episode where we talked about the book of Strange New Things, and there was a little bit of that sort of alienness in there too.
That's true, and it might have been stuck in my head from that unconsciously.
Yeah. So I don't know, I just thought that was a really interesting sort of product to come out from that podcast.
And it's a very different story for me in some ways. I haven't written this, like every once in a while I want to write a nice sci-fi story, but it's hard to do sometimes in short pieces,
in short form.
So.
Yeah. One downside of doing it for this episode is that, again, we're sort of harping on images as inferior to words. Because, I mean, honestly, they are sort of incomplete if you don't have the words to define what you see.
The nice thing about the story, though, is that there is a lot of wonder and amazingness with it. They just can't learn anything for certain by themselves.
Which is interesting.
So, all right.
Are we going to continue the serious tone, Nick, for our next segment?
Yes, a very serious tone, Tim. It is time for pun times.
Yay, it's back.
Yes, finally, after teasing it for a while.
In fact, I think we're mainly doing it because we realized we haven't done it in a while.
Exactly.
We kind of miss it. So
we just got to find a good subject here, Tim.
So I think since we've been talking movies, let's just go for that.
Like movie titles or anything to do with a movie?
I'd say let the gambit run free.
Let the gambit run.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let your chariots of fire go. May they just go back to the future and. That doesn't make any sense. I'm sure this will work out fine, and it won't fail.
Stop clowning around.
That's you're terrifying me.
So, am I the king of puns or are you?
I don't know, but
Well, I was just trying to get Stephen King in there.
oh, okay.
Then we'll do the it thing.
I was a little lost. Sorry.
So, you know where we're going with that one.
Yeah, but yeah. I mean, if you're the king of puns, then this is just all about the king and I.
Oh, Anna, what else? I don't,
Why that didn't make any sense?
isn't it Anna and the King?
And oh, okay. Say, what does Anna have to do with this?
What else do you want from me?
I mean, I guess if this was doing a poly test, you could say that it was Pollyanna, but that has no bearing on this.
To get it straight. I don't know. That had nothing to do with me. I just want to do bearing straight. We're slowly descending into madness.
That's like your wordplay doesn't even. We're not even movie themed anymore.
No, that was a problem. I was unhinged. Okay, let's go back to movies. Here we
Okay.
go. All right.
I haven't got a clue.
So are you clueless? That was a cheap shot.
The problem is, at this point, I'm not even certain sometimes the things you say if it's actual movie, because there's probably so many movies. It's like, is that one I just haven't heard of before?
Yeah, you watched Clueless?
I know what Clueless
Okay,
is. I
yeah.
just when you said I was a cheap shot, I was
Well,
like,
just because it,
I think is that a Steve Martin movie or something?
no, oh no, no. If I'd been clever, I could have done that, but
Yeah.
no.
We really should have brought one more person here to do this, and we'd be the Three Amigos.
Yes.
That is the Steve Martin movie, right?
Yeah,
With
that's
him and
no.
Martin
You're
Short.
right.
Okay.
You're right. I'll try to follow it up somehow, and all I had was Three Caballeros, and that wasn't funny. It was just a word. Do you know what Martians make sandwiches with?
No.
Space Jam.
Well,
know that was
it's
a
probably better than if they were using meatballs. Then it'd be space balls.
And that should not be as funny as it is.
But sorry, folks. The segment is turning out a little rocky. You know, but I mean, on the plus side, at least it's a knockout.
That's true, and it's not a horror story.
No. And you have a ringside seat to this twister of a segment.
That was nice. Congrats. So, Tim, I love my long setups, you know.
Yeah.
So I was doing a math problem, and I'm not going to manage it. Never mind.
You had me hooked.
Nice.
Now, okay. Now, if we have too long of a silence here, I'm just going to have to fill it with the sound of music. I mean, I'm no music man, but
See, I'm.
we probably shouldn't have done music because we had trouble with movie titles because we had trouble with book titles before.
Yeah, book titles for some reason titles are like I just get frozen on.
Well, I didn't actually mean us to. Doggone it! See,
You got all tangled up.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't actually mean us to get stuck on just titles, though. We could have gone with, I'm trying to direct the scene.
You're trying, yeah.
Yeah, and, trying to produce something good.
You're trying
here.
to lighten up the mood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Trying to, so I don't have to do too much editing of the thing.
Yeah.
Trying to put on a show, be a star.
I just gotta get started. That's the problem. Like, I need a starting point.
Yeah, a better starting point. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll just go with that.
Okay, is that enough?
I don't.
See, the problem is like I pun better when I'm not thinking like.
When you put on the spot.
Like I had like 5 puns for this sock on my microphone. This thing. Okay, so guys, we're missing a case for one of my microphones.
That one, the little foam things. That
So
cover
we
the
have a
mic.
sock on here, and we're talking about putting a sock in it, and that it was quite an amazing feat to do it with that, and that
Trying to spin a good yarn.
yeah, thin good yarn, and toe the line.
Darn it. Yeah, I don't know. There might just be too many holes in this to foot it.
It holds with a double whammy.
Yeah. Well, they come in pairs. So, well, looks like we've lost.
We're
missing something.
I dropped the ball.
You dropped the ball. Oh. Okay, that's a stretch. You had to really think about that to connect it with a sock.
What's feet?
Oh, okay. I was thinking like when you ball up socks. That's what you're
no,
going
that's
for.
that'd be too much of a stretch.
Okay.
I guess I just have a leg up. Nailed it.
I knew you'd be able to string these along eventually. Oh boy! All right. Well, we better wrap this up before it starts to stink.
Yeah. If it doesn't already.
Probably does. All right.
Fun times, everyone!
Yay!
It's so funny because honestly, pun times, like we just do it naturally sometimes, and then like when we get to pun times, like at least my brain dies. Yours has been going pretty good today.
It's easier almost sometimes when you're not put on the spot.
It is. I really just wanted to make a very complicated math setup about like subtracting and carrying, except there was one that I didn't know where it went and was a rogue one, and I couldn't make it work quite right. It didn't add up. So
sometimes, Nick, you just have a beautiful mind.
Thank you. I can't think of movies fast enough.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
So we had one more segment we wanted to tie this all up.
Yeah,
with.
we want to do just a lot of little fun things this episode. So we're now doing It Came From the Intrawebs. Speaking of images, we were thinking about doing what if, and we just didn't have a good one. But we found there's actually a couple different kind of quizzes on the internet where they'll show you an image or a couple images, and you have to guess the movie from it. Now, granted, this is a podcast, and you won't be able to see the images, but we'll try to describe it for you.
Well, and hopefully, if the quiz is good, they do pick up images that we can say and you can be able to visualize and pick up on, so you can play along with us.
Yes, maybe we should have a Jeopardy thing between each one and be like, doo-doo. They're not that hard, probably. Okay, this says, can you name the movie these three images evoke? So we'll just show you the images. Okay, so we have sunglasses, a black leather coat, and a blue and red pill.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
So if you have guessed it, audience, it is The Matrix.
Yes.
And what's amazing about this, and we didn't talk about this in our story school, is that the blue and red pill is an image that immediately make you think Matrix.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that works.
It's true. Again, because they focus a lot of time on it, but it's an imagery that works really, really well.
We talked about one time with when we were doing Children of Wells, making books that has just one image that would encapsulate the whole book. And there's a whole book style kind of minimalism that does that. Like we'll put the one image that will encapsulate everything that this book is about. And this is a good use of images.
Yeah, Matrix that makes sense. Okay, so next we've got running. Okay, so I guess we should clarify. These are not images. In this case, these are not images that are from the actual movie. These look like they're all they're not screenshots.
No, they're just things.
Just various pictures. One is a pair of shoes running. Well, I mean, there's a guy in the shoes running. It's just on his feet. I guess this is a shrimp.
Yep.
And then this
some chocolates.
A box of chocolates.
That would be Forrest Gump.
I would agree with that. That's the answer.
So it's again, the box of chocolate. If you're going to make a book and put one image there, you put the box of chocolate and you're like, oh, it's Forrest Gump.
Yep. And here's an interesting thing about that. I've never actually watched Forrest Gump all the way through.
Oh, but you knew it.
But I knew it because everyone knows life is like a box of chocolates. Yeah. Okay, we got the color yellow, a woman in a wedding dress, and katanas. This would be Kill Bill.
Yes, and again, I've never seen all of Kill Bill, but yeah, I knew that.
Yep. Okay, we've got a knife, a rocking chair, and a shower curtain.
Which would be?
I had to. This one you kind of need all three, I think, to really get, which is interesting. I wouldn't have got the first two. I might have gone a different direction, but with the shower curtain, this has got to be Psycho.
And it's honestly kind of amazing. 3 images, and you're like, the entire movie comes up.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, we've got a black umbrella, a chimney top, and penguins.
I would say Mary Poppins.
That's where I'm going with for this.
The penguins are a little weird. I mean, there's the penguins in it, but it's not the first image I would come up with.
Right. It's interesting. Usually, most of these, like the last one, really makes me think of it. This one, all I needed is the chimney tops and the umbrella.
The umbrella did almost. I mean, you need the chimney top, but you could have.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a guy caressing a skull.
Kind of like, it looks like Hamlet.
Kind of a Hamlet sort of thing. We've got
that tree that I always use for Africa.
Yeah, with a sunset behind it, and then we've got a boar. This has got to be the Lion King. I mean,
I like the Hamlet picture. That's kind of clever, actually. That is very
what Lion King is. Okay, we've got a mannequin. I think like just a lady's bust sort of mannequin. Then we've got a moth, and then we've got a bottle of, I believe that's Chianti. Do you know what this is?
I do not know this one.
I think I know this. This, I believe, is Silence of the Lambs. That's that moth. I remember that moth from. I've never seen this movie, but I remember that moth from the poster.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
And the whole Chianti. That's a line that gets used about Hannibal Lecter all the time.
Okay. So there's a guy staring at us, bald.
Hats, kind of a cowboy hat, and then I'm not sure what's going. Oh, I think those are samurai. I think this is the Magnificent Seven.
Okay.
I think that's Yul Brynner on the left there.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, nice. I would not have gotten that one.
Well, the samurai, because the Magnificent Seven is an American version of the Seven Samurai.
Okay.
So you have to know some film history for that one, I think.
Okay, this one has a skateboard, Calvin Klein underwear, and DeLorean.
Well, DeLorean.
I mean, that's all you need.
This is Back to the Future.
The Calvin Klein underwear is kind of funny, though.
I don't even remember. Probably block that one from my mind. Okay, we got a pair of wings, a bell, and a black and white photo. I think I know what this is.
This has to be
It's a Wonderful Life. I don't know.
What's that last?
The last picture doesn't work that well for me, but all you need is the wings and the bell. And
yeah.
I think that maybe that's supposed to be the library.
Maybe they just want black and white to get you in that
frame set, possibly. Okay, we've got a record player with one of those big
phonographs or
horn things. Some shoes and a woman with a crazy hat. I don't know this one. They kind of look like tap dance shoes, so I don't know if it's a dancing sort of thing.
Maybe some sort of musical with that,
like a Fred Astaire sort of thing.
Maybe.
I don't know. This was a little vague. We'll have to
go
for now because we've got a time limit on this thing.
You can go next, and it'll let us go.
Oh well,
it will tell us the answer.
I don't think it'll tell us the answer unless.
Okay, let's see.
So let's just move on. We got some eggs. We've got some hanging meats and some boxing gloves.
That would be Rocky.
This is Rocky.
Yeah.
Snake, a hat, and a whip.
Doesn't take much to do that one.
Nope.
That would be Hulk Hogan's movie. No.
This would be Indiana Jones. It doesn't say which one though, so let's just guess Raiders. Because
all right,
that's the one everyone goes to first. All right, we've got a drain, a hammer, and the book cover, The Count of Monte Cristo. Are they telling us the answer there? Because that is a movie. My guess is they're actually trying to go with Les Miserables.
Yeah, but why would they have Count of Monte Cristo there? To make it classic?
Victor Hugo?
No.
You're right. It's Dumas. It's not. You're right. That's a different author. So that's not right.
I mean, Sewers makes me think of Les Mis.
Yeah, because of what you told me.
But the hammer, I don't know what would be.
It is actually The Count of Monte Cristo. That would be funny.
Well, I haven't read that, but that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not. I'm not sure about this one, actually.
This is a revenge tale.
Oh, wait a minute. Sewer hammer. This makes me think. It might be, what's that prison escape movie?
The Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because Count of Monte Cristo, there's a jailbreak.
Okay.
I don't remember if there's a if that book actually features in the movie or not, but he escapes through a sewer.
Okay, the only one I need for this one is the last one here, which is a horse head.
Okay. Yeah, this is the other. We've got a gun and we've got a cannoli. I think this has got to be the Godfather.
That horse head by itself.
Yeah.
Does it.
Pretty much. A roast of some sort. A tree with a hole in it and a watch. I don't think...
Tree and a watch doesn't that kind of makes me think of Kill Mockingbird. Doesn't Boo Radley? Is there a watch? No, it's a little soap figure. Never mind.
Okay. Well,
all right. All right.
You're right.
All right. Good.
I don't know that movie well enough.
I've never seen the movie. I've only seen the book.
Okay.
Okay, so this is awesome. Okay.
So Santa hats, bare feet, and C4.
This is Die Hard.
Yeah.
The world's best Christmas movie.
Well, I don't know about that, but
the bare feet scene.
Yeah.
Again, images.
Very memorable.
Yes.
We've got a car. We've got a kid dressed in a skeleton Halloween costume and a bonsai tree.
This would be Karate Kid.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that in ages.
I wouldn't. The bonsai tree did it, and then I remember that they do dress.
Honestly,
up like
I don't think I've seen that since I was like less than 7. It's been a long time.
So this one, like old ladies.
Old ladies.
Is that arsenic? Is this arsenic and old lace?
Oh, could be. Yeah. The clue here is in the middle one is a symbol. Is that the chemical symbol for arsenic?
This is AS. I'm guessing it is, and then a dead body outline.
You might be right.
Again, never seen the movie.
Yeah,
but
that's right. But it is two old ladies. And
some of these are almost puns on the title.
Yeah, in some ways. We've got a fence, we've got a cup of water, and we've got a Jeep in the tree. Yeah.
The fence and the cup of water did it for me.
Yeah, this is Jurassic Park.
The cup of water. See, Spielberg knows how to use images.
Yeah. Or in that fence, everyone remembered that seems the kid in the fence.
Yeah.
You're sure he's dead or something.
I mean, good directors, they just have that scene.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got an airplane, an old piano, and a fez.
Casablanca?
Oh, it could be Casablanca. Good point.
What were you?
Fez makes me...
The piano. I wasn't quite sure about the fez, but
Yeah, I think you're right, though. If I can spell Casablanca.
you went Blanca.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
No. We've got a rose, we've got a very hairy chest, and a chandelier. This is hilarious. This is Beauty and a Beast. I love that they chose the hairy chest.
This is a great quiz.
Okay, a bicycle, a telephone, and Reese's Pieces. Oh, this has got to be E.T.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Jack in the Box, maple syrup, and a guy on a computer.
Huh?
This might be, I'm not sure, this might be The Shining.
Okay, that was gonna be a second guess. My second guess. I guess yet.
Nope, maybe not.
Really?
Because the guy writing made me think of The Shining.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the other two things. This one isn't doing anything for me.
Writing also Misery, if we're going that, but I don't know what the other two things would be.
It's not Misery. All right, well, we'll have to move on. We've got a radio, we've got the Empire State Building, and a houseboat. I'm not sure about this one. You know any movies that take place on a houseboat?
I do not.
Let's try Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah, that's what this tower made me think. Okay.
Oh, that was it.
I don't know. We need one image.
No, it was the Empire State Building. That was a key.
Again, that's an image. I've only seen that. I hadn't been ages since seen that.
Yeah,
movie.
I've only seen parts of it again.
Yeah.
But
okay, let's press give up and see what ones we're missing here.
Okay. We're missing My Fair Lady. Okay.
Oh, that's the one with the phonograph, the
yeah,
shoes and
the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plane. That's what the phonograph's for, and then the hat. I'm not sure those pictures are the best for that, because the shoes especially really threw me off, because those to me look like tap dance shoes, and she doesn't really tap dance in that movie.
Yeah, what's the other one that we missed?
Okay, toward the very end. Elf. Oh, okay. Jack in the Box, maple syrup. He likes maple syrup.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the guy on the computer, though.
Yeah, probably should.
Is it because he looks like he's at a kid's table?
Maybe.
Could be.
Yeah, that was hard. So, anyways, this I think this intro was actually quite good at talking about something we did not talk about in the image thing, which is just how powerful individual images are for
an overall
memory.
idea. Yeah, for memory. Yeah,
like Inception, the little spinny thing,
the top.
Yeah, and a lot of the most famous movies have that one or two things that you can be like, that's the movie. You know,
Star Wars, a lightsaber,
anything Star Wars. Honestly, I mean the first movie. The TIE Fighter, the lightsaber, the Death Star.
It has a very iconic images sort of movie. Yeah. I'm trying to think of some other good examples like that. That quiz touched on a lot of them.
A lot of the really powerful ones. I mean, you got the sled from Citizen Kane.
Oh yeah, Rosebud.
Things like that. Anyways, that was nice filling in something we didn't talk about. Plus, it was a lot of fun. Actually, that ended up being a pretty good quiz.
Yes, I like that.
All right, so we've now come to the end of yet another episode.
And it has been a pleasure. I'm getting a little chilled here in this.
Yeah.
Although I hear some very high pitched voice in the other room, so maybe he'll give us a hand and help us clean up.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
But meanwhile, before we move on, we should give them some contact info.
All right. Join us at our Facebook page at just Facebook, Derailed Trains of Thought.
Yeah.
And then our website,
derailedtrainsofthought.blogspot.com.
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, etc. Email us at derailedtrains@gmail.com.
And of course, if you're ever interested, you can check out some of our personal individual endeavors. Nick has lots of short stories at worksofnick.com.
Yeah, especially go to the story index and you'll see by the time this comes out, probably 100 different flash fictions at the very least.
There you go. And if you're interested in watching some of my Kingdom Hearts playthroughs, I can't promise I'm that great of a player, but if you're interested in hearing me nerd out about it, you can check that out at Storyteller Frog. That's on Twitch.
And then go ahead, check out our old hijacks if you want to, catch up on rewatch Lost or.
We haven't started the Babylon 5 yet, but we've got the first 2 seasons of Lost on there, like 2.5 seasons of Once Upon a Time. If you're into that, we probably will not be doing
the new ones.
The new Once Upon a Time. We decided we're just ready for a break from that.
We'll tell you about it at the end of the season or something.
Yeah, probably. I haven't actually had a chance to watch it.
Yeah. Anyways,
so I guess that means it's time for my soundtrack.
Yes.
Or maybe I should say your soundtrack. You pointed me to a song, a possible remix, which I thought was a great choice. This is from Mario Paint, a remix from Mario Paint, which that was a fun experiment that Nintendo did way before they were doing Wii stuff, where you get to paint on your Super Nintendo.
It was a lot of fun. And you can make music, too.
Yes.
I thought that was fun.
You could make music. But this is based off, I think this was the title screen. The remix is called Picking Colors. It's by Dabby Dab, or something like that. I think that's what I'm going to say. Which I thought this was a fun little story in the write-up. That most of the people who do music for OC remakes, you think of them as like music students, kind of college age, 20s or 30s or something like that. This one, his adult children introduced him to OC remix, and you said he's actually a grandpa?
No, there's another person.
Oh, another person who's a grandpa.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this guy might be old enough to be a grandpa. I don't know. But he did a really cool bluegrass version of the title from
nice.
Mario Paint. It's pretty cool. Picking Colors. I hope you enjoy. And
Let's get out of here, Tim.
all right. Until next time.
This has been Nick.
And this is Tim.
Bye.
Adios.